greatest arena awaits the gladiators. The lions are prowling familiar territory, hungry for glory. From England's heartland, the villains are released. Spectators divided by joy and despair. The venue of legends awaits one final contest.
There isn't another day like this one in the football calendar. It's the one every boy who's ever kicked a ball dreams about playing in. We are at Wembley for the FA Cup final. They tell us it'll be the last one staged here. Better make it good then. On Sky Sports 2 and interactive for Sky Digital viewers on Sky Sports Extra, we've the AXA-sponsored FA Cup final between Aston Villa and Chelsea. If you like the way we do things, don't move. We are going to have a wonderful afternoon. Winner takes all today, not least, of course, the most famous domestic football trophy in the world, but also a place in history as the last winners in this stadium, the first in this century. And, of course, there's a place in Europe as well, which will save the embarrassment of the Intertoto Cup and interrupted summer holidays. Chelsea, a team packed full of international stars who have fallen short this season. Villa, hungry, very, very hungry, to make up for 43 years since they last won this trophy. We're joined today by Chelsea's first-choice left full-back, by Andy Townsend, who has held aloft a trophy here with Aston Villa, the League Cup, of course, and keeping order, and trust me, if he calls order, there is order. Graham Souness.
Thank you.
Well, welcome all. How close was it, Graham?
Not too close. I've only just started running, so some people say that's good enough, because I only normally just do a little bit of running on the pitch. But unfortunately, I missed my first cup final, FA Cup final.
Which is a shame, of course, isn't it? Andy, I made mention there of the international talent that Chelsea have available. The best of British that Villa match it with. Yep. It's going to be an interesting 90 minutes, isn't it?
It is, it certainly is. I mean, Villa have turned things around lately. They've been very solid recently. It's a very hot day, it's a huge pitch, but they're going to need to get after Chelsea today. I think if they do, they'll have a good chance. And
we've made mention, Graham, all season long, haven't we, as we've watched Chelsea through Europe. They do like to play football. They came here to do that against Newcastle, who bossed the second half because they got at them. Is that a message to Villa?
Well, I think both teams today will be looking to improve on their last appearance here. I think both Villa and Chelsea didn't have great semi-finals. I think both of them were quite fortunate to get through those games. You know, Bolton will feel hard done to because they played very well on the day, and I think Newcastle can feel the same way. So both teams will feel they're due a performance here today.
We have got loads happening between now and the kick-off. Part of our team, of course, a man who has scored an FA Cup final goal here, standing not too far from that place. Andy Gray, in fact, Ken Bates, I think, Andy, this week, shelled out 20 grand for a piece of that turf behind you. Did he buy the right piece?
Well, there's some doubt about that. I think if you ask any Englishman, Richard, he will say yes, he's bought this piece of turf where the ball came down off the crossbar. Jeff Hurst struck it. It came down. Now, the one thing I wonder is, if Ken has bought the piece of turf behind the line, I think he's got the wrong bit of turf. Surely, as every Scot will tell you, that ball correct. Bounced on the goal line and came out.
100% correct, says Graham, by the way.
I know. But, hey, one bit of consolation. I've just realised, Richard, it's also the same goal where I scored one of Wembley's greatest ever headed goals. Well, it is in my household thought like that, so don't worry about anywhere else. But, and I just wonder, Ken, small consolation, I think just behind that line is a piece of turf where my header rested after it hit the net. So, Ken, a bit of consolation there, mate. And worth every penny.
Andy, thank you. Also in our team today, Claire Tomlinson, who will be throughout the afternoon amongst an array of stars. Claire, where are you?
I'm in the FA Sponsors Village over here in Wembley Conference Centre. Behind me, the sponsors are all in. They're having a pre-match drink. Lunch will also be served to them. The noise levels are rising as they're getting higher and higher. We're also expecting some of the former FA Cup winning captains to come, and we'll be having a chat with a few of those. Ron Chopper Harris, who lifted the cup, of course, for Chelsea in 1970. Frank McClintock will be here, the double-winning team of 1971. And who remembers in 1973, little Bobby Kerr lifting the cup for second division Sunderland when they beat the mighty Leeds? Well, not me, because I was only 4. Also, Martin Buchan, he'll be here representing Manchester United. They may not have taken part this year, but he'll be here to tell us about his memories. And coming a bit further up to date, we'll also be speaking to Tony Adams, hopefully, of course, who's lifted the trophy in 1993 and as part of that double-winning team in 1998. So there's plenty going on over here in the Wembley Conference Centre. We'll be speaking to you a bit later.
We've also had our eye on both teams overnight, both staying not too far from Wembley in North London. It's to Aston Villa, first of all, and to our man Fraser Robertson, who's somewhere outside Watford. Fraser.
That's right, Richard. Welcome to the Aston Villa Team Hotel, about 8 miles northwest of Wembley. The players here have been in relaxed mood all morning. Dion Dublin's just walked by the camera a few seconds ago, screaming and laughing, trying to get into shot, so he's certainly in confident mood. The players are due to set off in about 35 minutes' time under police escort. The players were out for a walk this morning. Most had a long lie-in and a little bit of a light breakfast, and then they all went for a walk in the lush countryside surrounding this hotel in the north of London. They all seemed very confident, and they've now just gone in for a pre-match meal, and then they'll be coming round to the front of the hotel where we are in the next 20 minutes to depart for Wembley.
And just outside Barnet, again, half an hour's coach drive from here, I would have thought, with police escort, are Chelsea and Guy Havord.
Yes, Richard, the coach has just turned up with its police escort. They'll be departing at about half an hour's time for a match that will effectively determine the success or otherwise of Chelsea's season. They've used this hotel for Wembley trips 3 times before, and they've won all 3, including the 97 FA Cup final victory and also last month in the semi-final against Newcastle. They've tried to keep it secret, but as you can see, quite a few Chelsea supporters have made it here to wish their team all the best as they head off to Wembley. It's been a very low-key build-up by Chelsea all week, and that's really continued since they got here. Very few sightings of the players out and about this morning. They're really just sort of getting their heads together for such an important game. But the bad news is confirmation this morning that Albert Ferrer is definitely out, so Mario Melchiot will almost certainly fill his spot at right back.
And there's one for Dennis Norden that Guy had no idea about, of course. If you're coming to the game, this is what Wembley has planned today. We'll try and give you a flavour of it as we go. Dennis the Menace does London in some style. We'll be hearing from Villa's biggest fan, who meets the FA Cup and was quite overawed when he did. We'll have a bit of fun with these two guys. Time was when players took the spotlight, not chairmen, but they do. And we will be hearing from the 2 central characters here as well, John Gregory and Gianluca Vialli. Also, we'll be getting a close shave with the cup final ref. This is Wembley's lineup. Turnstiles open around about 1 o'clock, 50 minutes or so from now. Players will be walking about 1:45-ish. There's a past winners parade. Representatives from each and every Wembley Cup final on parade at 2:10. Players will be warming up around about 2:20. Traditional cup final hymn, Abide With Me, at 2:45. And of course we kick off at 3 o'clock, and you won't miss a moment of it with us here on Sky Sports. We'll be lacing the programme along the way with a reminder of how these two teams got here. We'll start, of course, with round 3. Chelsea met Hull. Villa went in against the lucky losers, Darlington.
It's the sort of game where you're never going to win, really. You're only playing Darlington, people say. So to beat them, well, it's only Darlington, but if you get beat by them, then it's a massive loss for you. So difficult game, and as I said, they came and gave us a good game, and we managed to overcome them and get into the next round.
The FA Cup is fantastic because anything can happen, and you get so many small teams upsetting the apple cart and beating the giants. So we wanted to make sure that we were taking the match in the right way, preparing for the match mentally in the right way, and I think the way we played showed that.
It was a great start, really, and we beat Hull 6-1. It was a very good game for us, and I actually scored in that one, which was nice. And it was nice to get a few goals and get off to a good start in it.
Well, it's Wise with one more weaving run, and it's another goal for Chelsea. Final whistle. Chelsea have done the job, and they've done it in some style.
Cup final day with Sky Sports. We're in the company of Graham Lasso, Andy Townsend and Graham Souness over here on my right. You've not been with the boys overnight, Graham, but have you spoken to any of the lads?
Yeah, I had lunch with them yesterday, and they're going into today's game as they would prepare for any other game. We've been fortunate enough to play in some very important games this season, and I think the lads know how to handle themselves, and they know the importance. There's been a little bit of sort of publicity saying that European players don't understand the importance of the FA Cup, but I can assure you they do.
They do. That's encouraging from Chelsea's point of view. Favourites, we hear, but I think there's one or two got a fancy for Villa, Andy, haven't they? Why is that, do you think?
They're very confident, the Villa lads. They've, as I say, they've been very strong over the last, since Christmas, really. They've been mean at the back. They've not given a lot away. They haven't scored as many goals, I think, as they would perhaps like to have. But they're very, very confident about this game today. I think they feel this has fallen right at a good time for them, and they're hungry for it. As you mentioned that, in the start of the show, they're very keen. I think this particular group of players at the club to really propel it into the top 3 or 4 in the country, and it will start with a win here today.
Just wondering where you would fall for the entertainers, if you like, or for that.
You want the best team on the day to win it, and that's what will happen.
Of course you do, but I'm just wondering which way it will go. What style perhaps we'll have out.
Well, both. You said the pitch is going to be full of good players. And it's who performs on the day. And I think with games like this, with big cup finals, what happens when you're a player is it passes by too quickly. And it's all about the team that can get themselves on the ball early and relax, play their football. The players will be so wound up that sometimes they can forget what the jobs are. And it's all about passion, and they end up not playing with their heads. And really, today is about the team that settles earliest, the team that maybe enjoys a wee bit of luck somewhere. But again, being an old midfield player, and he was slightly younger, slightly younger. But generally, the team who dominates midfield will win games of football, and that's a key area. I mean, I think with a recent, we saw when Arsenal played last week, they didn't get going in midfield. They didn't get started in midfield, and Galatasaray bossed the game from the start to the end for me. And midfield's always a very important area, and generally, if you can boss that, you'll end up creating more chances, you'll protect your defenders, and you'll end up winning the game.
I think it's more important as well because of the fact they're playing with 3-5-2 against a 4-4-2.
That'll be interesting to see how it pans out.
Definitely,
We'll
whoever takes the initiative.
Get more on that from you, Graham, and Andy later when you get round Andy's little board. We're underway. We're at Wembley here on Sky Sports 2, and interactive, of course, today. For the first time ever in the world, you've got the opportunity to enjoy yourselves with all the various buttons and bits and pieces. Channel 404 for Sky Digital viewers. 1957, the last time Villa won the FA Cup, when Harold Macmillan was Prime Minister, when Buddy Holly had recorded That'll Be the Day. I wonder, will this be Villa's day?
You've seen it a million times, but it's a wonderful feeling. It's a schoolboy dream, isn't it? To score the winning goal in a cup final in the last minute. I mean, it's wonderful.
To be the youngest player ever to score at Wembley, and then 2 years later to go on and score the winning goal, it was a dream come true, and I don't think it'll ever be beaten. Well, I hope not.
Memories that never fade. When we come back, we'll be meeting Deadly.
This is gorgeous.
International rugby. From down under England's tour of South Africa, Scotland's challenge against the All Blacks, Ireland travel to the USA, plus the Southern Hemisphere's premier tournament, the Tri-Nations. Rugby union from all corners of the globe. Don't get left behind this summer on Sky Sports.
Just file that for me. Sorry.
When you're laying so close to me, there's no place I'd rather you be than with me.
Don't miss your free and exclusive Road to Euro 2000 video with The Sun. With over 20 minutes of action from England's qualifying games, plus big-name interviews and special clips, it's just what you need to get ready for the real thing. Offer starts only in today's Sun.
To play Thunderball, pick 5 numbers from the top box and 1 Thunderball number from the bottom box, and you could win up to £250,000. You've got a better chance with Thunderball.
We think that footballs are better in leather. We think bikinis are better in lycra. We think goldfish bowls are better in glass. We think beer is better in wood.
Yo, know what I mean? Listening rubber the music, find us on our quality. Rubber-dub! You know what I mean? New Pioneer car audio system with 3D organic EL display. Stop watching if you can.
Pioneer, I presume? Oh, yeah.
Stop watching if you can.
We'd never bought a PC before.
So, we went along to Tiny's spring sale, where you can save hundreds of pounds on a wide range of great PCs.
They all have Intel Pentium 3 processors,
DVD, and really good software. Ours came with a colour printer too.
and even a desk and a chair. Call this number now for your copy of Tiny's spring sale price list.
About your PC at Tiny.
A lot of people thought I was nuts when I switched talk radio to talk sport. Why on earth did you do that, Kev? They asked. Well, I'll tell you why. TalkSport is now a radio station that I love listening to, and I know I'm not alone. I'm not alone in my passion for sport, and I'm not alone in my passion for talking about sport. So give me a try. If you don't, I might as well be talking to myself.
Talk Sport. Please listen. He needs the money.
Traditional cup final weather at the moment. They do tell us it might be raining in the stadium later, but right now it's a day for sombreros and sunglasses and a very enjoyable walk to Wembley Stadium. Masters football is back on Thursday night. 6 tournaments coming up over the summer featuring some of the great football entertainers. The first one's live from Nottingham Thursday night, 7:30 on Sky Sports 1. Right now it's Wembley Stadium here on 2, and for Sky Digital viewers, for the first time ever anywhere in the world, it's interactive today on Sky Sports Extra. It's the FA Cup final, of course, between Aston Villa and Chelsea. And Chelsea are thinking about leaving already, as you can see. Monsieur Armani has got the suits and the various other garb together for them, hasn't he? And sharp they look too. OK, let's meet our first celebrity this afternoon in the company of Claire Tomlinson.
Thanks, Richard. I'm joined by a man who captained Manchester United to 3 cup finals, 1976, 1977 and 1979. Welcome, Martin Buchan. Martin, I don't suppose there are any prizes for guessing which one of those is your favourite?
77.
And why might that be?
Because there's nothing worse than coming second at Wembley, as we did in 76 and 79.
So what are your memories of 1977?
We were underdogs. Liverpool were the best team in Europe. In fact, they won the European Cup on the Wednesday in Rome after the final. The year before, we had been hot favourites to beat Southampton. I had certain misgivings because I felt that some of the players were getting a bit carried away and thought there was going to be an easy match. And of course, we know that Southampton beat us 1-0.
So what was the best part of the day? Was it coming out of the tunnel into that Wembley atmosphere, or was it actually the moment when you got your hands on the trophy?
It was getting my hands in the cup. I remember Tommy Docherty said in '76, after the final, we went back to Manchester, had a wonderful reception in the town square. He said, never mind, we'll go back and win it next year. And it was like a fairy tale, we did.
And what was it like in '79, 2-0 down with 5 minutes to play, coming back to 2-2, only to lose it right at the death?
It was heartbreaking. We really thought we'd got back in the game, and I remember Liam Brady crossing the ball from the left touchline. I was out there trying to stop him, actually, and I'll never forget Sunderland scoring. It was heartbreak.
Supposed to be the last cup final here at Wembley. The Scots have always had a good go at pulling Wembley down already. I remember them breaking the crossbar. What will it mean to you to see Wembley come down?
I'll be very sad to see it, but you know, all the stadia have changed over the years, and you just got to go with the times.
OK, Martin, thanks for joining us. Richard, it's back to you in the studio.
We've seen how these two teams today progress past round 3. Villa involved, of course, against the lucky losers Darlington. Chelsea beat Hull. The opposition in round 4 was beginning to get a little bit tougher.
Morale was quite low, confidence was low, so any win was an important win, was the order of the day. Making sure you were still in the hat has always been the order of the day in every round, so it was very important. We created a lot of chances and really should have buried them. Should have won the game, you know, after 60 minutes. But as has been most part of this season, we haven't really killed teams off, and we've allowed them to get back into games. But luckily, we saw it off 1-0, and we were in the hat for the next round.
I think we played better than them, and I was pleased with the performance.
This was I think my first goal in the game without kicking a penalty, so it was an enjoyable evening.
I remember Jodie's great skill for my goal, basically. He jinked this way, that way, and made a magnificent cross for me to nod in from the yard, which I couldn't miss that one.
Terrific day this, and we're going to have some fun along the way. Graham Souness is with us, Graham Lasso and Andy Townsend join us in the Sky Sports studio today. I'm just thinking, watching that, Andy, when around about January, February comes, well, it was December this year, of course, wasn't it, for the third round, you try and pick a cup side. You're looking at one Andy says that's running into a bit of form. Villa weren't exactly, were they?
No, not at all. Not at that time. They were struggling, and there was. You know, at the time of the Darlington game, the round before that, there was even calls that, you know, if John doesn't win that, and I think they had Southampton in the League Cup in midweek after that game, if those two results went astray, he would be up the road. And I think the FA Cup certainly has cemented their season in getting through those early rounds and enabling to get a few wins under their belt, as Hugo said there, and building some confidence. You know, they've hung in there, and now they start to claw it.
It's been that important to them, Graham, and I'm just wondering on your list of priorities this year, where the FA Cup has figured.
Funnily enough, we'd had a dip in form round about the time of the FA Cup, so I think the significance, we both were fortunate in the early rounds. On paper, we looked like we'd both go through those. But I think as you start to build up through the FA Cup and you get a couple of rounds out the way, then you really start to feel that it's going to be.
Were you looking forward to it, or was it an irritation in amongst all the Champions League stuff and chasing league finishes?
No, certainly not. I think at that stage of the season, you're happy to be playing games regularly. Fortunately for us, we've got a very big squad, and the rotation system is well known, so it gave us a chance maybe to try some players out. And
you want to be winning games. You know, the players today, it's maybe. They continually talk about playing too many games, but if you're winning games, you can never play too many games.
And what does it take to win this game? What's required?
I think there's an element of luck involved, but as I touched on before, this is a special place. This gets to the players as well. You know, the whole build-up to it, them leaving the hotel, as we just seen. Yeah, I think even as experienced as I was, obviously, later on in my career and playing big games, it does get to you. It is a special occasion.
Well, these fellas have played big games, haven't they?
And I'm sure some are World Cup winners.
They are. It's a good point you make.
It does show the significance of the game.
One in particular, sorry.
The significance of the game. He's had his hair cut especially for today.
Has he?
I'll
So,
get to
yeah,
them
it's
as well.
obviously important.
As big as
Alan Wright
as big
was
as some of
gonna
the
have his
games I've
one,
played in, this is still a big game for them.
Do you sleep on the night before?
Yeah,
I think so. I just think there's slightly more, because of the traditional value of the FA Cup, there's slightly more to it. Certainly the build-up, we were talking about the sort of the players, Paul and Armani doing the suits and everything. Players who don't know the FA Cup particularly well are thinking, well, why all this attention?
Quick point on the just must ask about the players pool, because there's some controversy about that now. It's an outdated system that I mean, basically, if anyone doesn't know, you're paid for interviews and press.
To an extent, yeah. There's a lot of interest, obviously, surrounding the FA Cup. So the final week's preparation, clubs traditionally have a
players used to get that money, didn't they? What have Chelsea done?
Divided. What we've done is we've given the staff our share of the money, and also all the media interviews has gone to Chelsea and Westminster Hospital.
Good, well that's terrific. OK, it is, as we've said, Villa against Chelsea, and time to meet a man who will be pulling Villa's strings today.